This is one of my favourite EVs, and not just for a little hatchback. Outright, this makes sense because it's got a small battery, so it doesn't take long to recharge. It only has a range of 250 kilometres, which is not great, but if you live in the city and you're just zipping about every day, yeah, this is a lot of fun, and it's still a car, it's not a transport capsule. And it looks awesome. Look at that design. It's very athletic, sporty, kind of looks like a rally car or a race car or something, with these center caps that make it look like it's got center lock wheels. Like the Fiat 500e, this has got the widened body, so the wheel arches bulge out a little bit more than the standard Fiat 500, but it's also got lots of Abarth treatment badge on the side there, and a completely different front end. It is pretty expensive though. It's about $6,400 more than the standard Fiat 500e. Same battery, 42 kilowatt hour battery, front wheel drive, except this produces 114 kilowatts, up from about 85, I think, in the standard Fiat 500e. A lot more torque as well, and it's got trick suspension, so Abarth suspension. It does wear Bridgestone Potenza Sport tyres, 205 40s on an 18-inch rim. I've just taken it for a drive up a winding road, and the power distribution system is awesome. It's like it's got a really good limited slip differential. You can come around sharp corners with the stability control completely off and just floor it, and it won't just spin the inside wheel. It'll actually figure out the best torque distribution between the left and right wheel and just hook you around the corner. It's amazing. Lots of G-force, lots of fun, and it's quick. It's pretty quick. Obviously practicality is limited, but I really like this interior. It's got a nice mix of sort of club sport style sportiness with the Alcantara across the dash and the steering wheel. Very soft to touch. The only problem I have with Alcantara or suede steering wheels is they really dry out your hands after a while. You've got these awesome bespoke Abarth sports seats with more of that Alcantara trimming or suede to try and grip you in a bit. You do have some storage in here. Center console, it goes pretty deep, and a cup holder down below, and a wireless phone charging tray within the dash there. You've also got a little cubby hole down in there too. You might think it's pretty small in here, and you're right, this is a small car, but in the front at least, it doesn't feel cramped. It doesn't feel like you're really squashed in. They've done very well with space efficiency. It's got Fiat Chrysler or Stellantis Uconnect touchscreen. I really like this touchscreen. It's got the main menu options down the sides there. You've also got Apple CarPlay, so you can have your arrangement of apps in the usual layout. Where do we go here? Just like that. So yeah, that's pretty universal across all vehicles that use Apple CarPlay. And you do have some settings to play around with. But the interesting setting is within this instrument cluster. Now you go into display, electric features, and you've got an electric sound mode. And it actually sounds really good. Like idling, it sounds exactly like one of those Fiat Abarth 595 Competizione things that have got a really chunky exhaust system. The only sort of problem is when you rev it up, you can actually rev it. Not sure if you can hear that on camera, but the idle remains. So it's still got the idle burbling in the background, but then when you rev it, the idling is still there. So that's a bit weird how it does that, but I don't know about the revving up sound. I reckon that's a bit off, especially when you drive it, because it's kind of like got a CVT gearbox. It doesn't, it's just got a 1-speed, but that's how it kind of behaves in terms of the sound characteristics. Doesn't sound that great, but I think Hyundai's Ioniq 5N has done a better job in terms of having the integrated artificial gearbox and everything with the pops and the bangs, whereas this is, but it does sound good when it's idling, I reckon. Now you can just turn it off. It's really loud too, actually, just when it's idling like that. And in the back, you do have 2 seats. I have sat in there and you fit okay. I'm 170 centimeters. There's a decent amount of leg room, I suppose, for this style of car. But headroom is actually pretty good. And around the back, we've got a tiny little boot, which is just enough for some bags or some light shopping. You can fold down the rear seats as well, but they don't go completely flat. There's a bit of a step there. I have already done the performance testing, but the battery was about 50%, or it might have been 40% even. So what I'll do is I'll charge it, there's a charger up on the highway, I'll charge it up to 100% and just do a 0 to 100 run on the entrance to the highway. It's a flat road, it's a nice grippy road too. So we can at least get a good 0 to 100 run, but that of course won't include quarter mile and everything. You've got 3 different driving modes to choose from down here on this little toggle, including Turismo, Scorpion Street and Scorpion Track. I'll leave it in Scorpion Track. Abarth has done a really good job with the suspension on this thing. I mean, the company has been tuning little hot hatches like this for decades, so they know what they're doing, but it's able to absorb bumps really well despite being such a small car. And that's a tricky thing to do because, you know, it's got such a small footprint. It's like a little pogo stick or a little bouncy ball bouncing around. But this actually catches the bumps. It's got wheel travel to absorb the bump, but it remains still controlled, and you still feel confident behind the wheel. It doesn't feel like you're being thrown about. And you can turn the stability control off just by hitting one button, which is great. You don't have to hold anything down or do some special code. You just hit the button. I think traction control remains on because sometimes it will spin the wheel a little bit. It has sort of cut the power, but you still get plenty of slip and play. The torque distribution system is really good. You can apply full power. So I just had a tiny bit of wheel spin then. Full power, full power, full power. And it just slings you around the corner like a kid on a clothesline. It's crazy. Awesome G-force. And probably most importantly, it's fun and friendly. It doesn't feel intimidating. I feel like I could throw this thing around at any track or any little road configuration like this easily. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm, you know, got to be a pro driver to get the most out of it, or at least experience high levels of its performance. I'm not going to say it doesn't bounce around at all, because it definitely does, especially on a road like this. It's got a lot of bumps, but it doesn't seem to impact the stability or your feeling of confidence knowing where the car is headed. Like, I feel like the wheels are always planted on the ground, even if I am bouncing around a little bit on some of these harsher bumps. I've got complete control. Like, the wheels never feel like they're hesitating on providing the directional stability that I want. So I'll go around these corners here. There's a couple of tight ones. That's full power, full power, full power. That was, yeah, so it's just awesome power delivery system. You might remember that BYD Dolphin we took down here. It did have a lot more power, but the tyres and the torque distribution system was just pathetic. Like, you put your foot down here and just spin the inside wheel all up around the corner, which kind of sounds like fun, but it's not stable. You know, you want something that's a bit more dynamic than that. Different style of vehicle, I get it. That's more of a city hatchback, but I think overall balance is important, because, you know, you don't want someone that doesn't have much experience getting in and accidentally, you know, giving it too much power just for a second, and suddenly the wheels are spinning all over the place. On that note, this is a very balanced vehicle. It feels like everything is within its own capability, like the brakes, the suspension, the power, the torque. There's nothing that's over the top, but it's all at very pointy ends. Like, it can do everything, but very well balanced. Yeah, as I said, this style of vehicle really suits an electric powertrain, because it's just a zippy little thing. You just want to go from A to B, not too far, but also you want it to feel fun. You don't want it to feel like you're in this tiny little thing that's really slow. This feels powerful, it feels spirited, and it's definitely very capable. I guess the main downside is this is about 250 kilograms heavier than the normal petrol-powered models. The main takeaway, it's definitely a hot hatch. It feels fun. It's reasonably practical, aside from the range, which is, you know, not awesome if you live out in the sticks. But yeah, still lots of fun. It feels like a car. It feels like I'm the driver. You know, you get in some of these electric vehicles like Teslas and things, you just feel like a passenger. You don't feel like you're integral in the whole action of driving, whereas this definitely is a driver's car. You've got an awesome steering wheel, feels sporty with the little blue stripe at the top so you know where the center is. Good visibility as well. Fiat 500 has always had awesome visibility, very tall windows so you can see out and see where you're going, especially in those tight car parks and things. And then out on the highway, being an electric vehicle, it means it doesn't rev. There's no revs, obviously. So a car like this, like the Abarth 595 or something like that, might be revving a bit on the highway, whereas this you can travel along at highway speed, cruising along, and still maintain a conversation without raising your voice. All right, we'll head out now and do the performance testing. And as I said, we'll do the I'll do a run with 100% battery on the highway at the end as well, just to give you an idea of its absolute performance with a complete full battery.